Us as a people, we definitely need to understand the concept of warfare. We need to understand how to understand warfare from the actual battle aspect, the financial aspect, the psychological aspect. There's a few good books to actually read. Perfect example would be The Prince by Machiavelli. I think that should be standard to read. You can really understand how games are played by reading that book. Then, of course, the person who made warfare the way it is, Sun Tzu's The Art of War. One of my favorite books of all time. I leave this to get to the point here. And I have to shout out Taureen Reign, and by extension, a female, I forgot her name right now, I dearly apologize for that, who gave him the story, which he reported on. Now, I wasn't even aware about this story until Taureen Reign, and by extension, the person who gave him the story, told him. And again, shout out to that female. I can't remember your name right now. I'll probably put I'll actually put your name in the description, just to give you definitely a shout out. Well, I wasn't aware that in New Jersey, they passed a bill, and by bill I mean an amended version of bill, which now requires that school children also be taught individual rights under law and interacting with a law enforcement official. Basically, in a nutshell, and that's the amended version. The original version of this was the bill mandates that school districts start teaching kids how to talk to law enforcement officers starting in kindergarten and will continue instruction all the way through grade 12 as part of social studies curriculum. If it became law, the program would then begin in the state school starting in 2018. Now, this is what I call psychological warfare at its finest. Because it already in Texas, for those who are not aware, they passed something now where in school books, by Scholastic of all people, by the way, who make school books, they want to amend history in the book. And by amend history, they mean amend black history. So black people, once again, are lost in the fog and not knowing who their heritage. They basically want to state that we came to America as indentured servants and not slaves, which is complete bullshit. Let's just call it for what it is. They're not indentured servants. We were forced here. So it's just amazing. Now they're trying to do that. So now they're trying to keep black people even more docile than usual. Because now instead of saying this, now they're taking a piece away to history. So now they have no reason to fight because they don't understand why they're here to begin with. And by telling this lie, that conditions them. So this is psychological warfare right here in itself. Now you see in New Jersey, which if this amended bill actually passes, this could open up for other states to try to do the same thing. But basically, in a nutshell, and knowing the police and their history, which, by the way, does not have the back end of the people, as Professional Black Truth says it eloquently. Now they want to set it up where we're docile to the police no matter which way it happens. So now that gives them the green light if this bill passes for the police, which already doing this already, to constantly mess around with black people and can do whatever they want and have carte blanche, so to speak. And they remain docile, don't even want to fight back. I mean, hell, they now have even set up in another state, and I can't remember which state it was, where they want to now try to punish those who even protest. I mean, a freaking peaceful protest. Again, because they don't want us to try to get a leg up and to keep us down. This is the true definition of what white supremacy is. To be dominant over those who cannot do anything. To stop it. And you see all these things coming in place. All under President 45, a.k.a. President Tangerines' reign of terror. And that's what I call it, reign of terror. And by extension, we could really blame for is Barack Hussein Obama's, who did nothing for black people throughout his entire 8-year tenure. He was scared to death to piss off white people. But Jason Black, a.k.a. the Black Authority, pretty much said it best. Power is not about being liked. Power is supposed to be about getting results done. That's what power is really all about. But of course, what could Barack actually do? Because he was a puppet. You don't get there unless somebody chooses you that feels you can be in that position. But like I said, this is psychological warfare at its finest. This is like being docile. It's like the good old commandment, which I don't follow Christianity at all. But let's not forget the old commandment in the Bible. Let's not forget the statement that was in the Bible: slaves, obey your masters. Yes, this is actually in the Bible. You can look it up yourself. But I won't get into the whole religion aspect. We're not going to go there with it. But it's just to iterate a point. It's now just it's just psychological warfare at its finest. We're either getting physically assaulted or even killed. We're financially crippled because we don't, and there's some blaming ourselves for that, because we don't have the resources to get where we need to go, because either we're being held back, or when we do get some money, we actually do stupid shit with it instead of actually pulling our resources together to build a community like the Asians and other ethnic groups actually do. And now we're getting hit psychologically. Which that condition has already started since for 400 plus years already. And we're still reeling from those effects to this very day. So it's very important to understand this is warfare. You're getting hit by all sides, and everybody's the opposition, or like we put in the rap game, the ops. And it's very important to realize what's really going on. Now, when Taureen Reign spoke about this, I had to read this article for myself on NBC News. And rereading this article, I came to the conclusion that he was absolutely correct about. He actually is correct about this. This rule was instated for us. In other words, to keep us, and by that, by black children, which now, by the way, now is America's favorite pastime. Let's attack black children. It's now America's pastime. White people aren't going to be taking this class. I don't even think any other race is really going to be taking the class. This is designed specifically for us. And they try to pass it off like this is a good thing. What's really very disturbing, that the bill's primary sponsor is a black woman named Sheila Oliver. And she claims that this program isn't about putting the responsibility on the kids, it's about preparing them. And she quotes to say, the number of police-related shootings around the nation have carried a mistrust of police in many communities. Yeah, understatement of the year. This can help rebuild that trust that is essential for law enforcement to work. Oliver said, this is a lesson many parents already teach their children. Oliver said, referring to police interaction. Making it part of the school curriculum is the next logical step. Now, I got to ask myself a real question. And, Professor Black Truth always talked about this as well. Don't trust those who are already in office. You never trust those already in office, which means she's probably compromised and she's going with it. Because I refuse to see and believe that she came up with this idea herself. I just refuse to believe that. Not saying because she's not a smart woman or anything, but because you're in a position where you can be controlled. So that already makes me leery in itself. See, this is why it's important to understand who your enemies actually are. And as far as I'm concerned, she's definitely an enemy, because that doesn't. And I understand that, as a black woman, she probably understands she had to have parents with their kids about the police. I definitely had a conversation about the police when I was a young age. As a matter of fact, it came back when I'll share a little story. It came back when I was like in 8th grade. I skipped school one day. And this is when I was in middle school. I skipped school. And I decided to head to the mall anyway. Now, right a few feet from me going to the mall, a police officer actually stopped me. Now, I'm supposed to be in school. So pretty much in a nutshell, I'm a truant. Because I'm not where I'm supposed to be. So now, but me, instead of me doing what I was supposed to be doing, being prepped, I got in the police car. Now, anything could have happened to me. But they took me back to the middle school. And, things happened. Went through the day, got home. And my mom was like, what happened? And so on and so forth. So me and her had a discussion about that. And my father came over later, and he also had a discussion about it. But I say that to say these conversations always occur in the household. That's nothing new. But to make it part of the curriculum, that's not really, you're playing right into their hands. And for that, I have to look at Sheila Oliver as the enemy based off this alone. So that's how I'm looking at this. But there's also another person. But there's at least one person, a New Jersey-based teacher, and he's an activist that actually agrees with my sentiment. His name is Zali Amani, and he told NBC News before the bill was passed by the Assembly, he finds the proposed school program victim blaming. This legislation does not empower young people, especially those living in brown and black communities, Amani said. Instead, it empowers law enforcement by allowing them to continue to evade accountability for abuse and misconduct while forcing the burden on the public. Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I see the game a mile away. And like I said, With Sheila Oliver doing this, as far as I'm concerned, she's the enemy. As far as I'm concerned, as a matter of fact, that's probably gonna give me a spin-off series that I'm gonna do called "Who Your Enemies Are." WYEA. I've been contemplating this for a while, but it's important to know who our enemies are, not just from the outside, but within our own ranks. And I feel it's very important to expose them so history remembers the traitorous things that they did. And I'm definitely gonna spin that off. And I already have my first person I'm gonna talk about named Kevin Martin. He's definitely gonna be the first one on the list I'm gonna talk about. But I wanted y'all to weigh your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Weigh your comments in, and I'll catch you on the next video.